Hello. Hello, everyone. I am joined today by Dr. Katherine Beydler. Hello.
Hello.
And this is your first time twitching.
Indeed, that's true.
Awesome. So hopefully in chat, if people can tell us if you can't hear sound or anything, because, yeah, I never am very good about the whole sound thing. So let me know. But I did, so before the Odyssey started, or before it came up and everything, I did a trailer, kind of 2-hour trailer review. It was very long. And then with Francis and Jason, I did a like layman, not classicist, like very public kind of version. And I've enjoyed this movie so much that I feel like I would love to talk with a classicist about it. So really quickly, PhD, classics, Michigan.
Yes.
And now you're at the University of Iowa, where I also am, and you teach fun classes.
Yeah, mostly ancient science and medicine type classes. Not a homerist, but still loved the movie.
I am also not a homerist, so, oh yes. We have lots of cats and dogs, so if they invade, just an FYI, they'll be around. Yeah, that's Callie. So Callie and Pepper and Daisy are all... It's like they know the camera's on. This was the way it was all through the pandemic, too.
It's the first time I've seen Callie. She's never shown herself to me before. So.
I swear, she only knows when, like, I'm going live. Because that's when she decides to come in. And she's actually turned off my computer before. And done other things. But that's cats for you. So hopefully I won't go anywhere. But thank you, Boris, for our sound check. Let's go ahead and get started. So I kind of showed Katherine all of my notes that I had taken. But why don't you just start off with what you thought about the movie? Again, this is Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. How many times you saw it, when you saw it recently, all that stuff.
I've only seen it once, about a week ago. My first impression was really positive. I really liked it. My first big takeaway, or the reason I liked it overall, was that I sort of thought perhaps it would just be a war hero movie or like an action movie a la Troy 2004. But I found that it was an actual true reception of the Odyssey, like took Homeric themes and recast them for use in a different time period, and I was impressed that he did that.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it to be like what I thought of as a true artistic reception of the text.
Cool. So when you say an artistic reception, what does that exactly like mean or look like? Like what parts really stood out to you?
The fact that he took a major theme in the Odyssey's text, this idea of like guest friendship, and recast it in the contemporary period, thinking through how the idea of what we owe to one another plays out on like a global stage in the 21st century, when we're like have all these wars and pandemics and crazy things happening, and so that theme seems particularly relevant in his movie, and that makes sense to me as a big theme to draw on in the Odyssey, versus some of the ones that might seem a little more challenging now, like Chaos or whatever.
Yeah.
Which he kind of intentionally downplays, I think, throughout the text
Yes.
of his film.
Yes, I totally agree.
Chaos being glory, or sort of like winning honor in battle.
Yes. You have your arete, your excellence in battle, and this eventually will lead to Kleos, which is your like glory, so that everyone. So you have excellence and glory, and
Which might be like physical stuff you get, or it might be
you also have team A.
you earn, team A.
Team A can be physical.
Yes, you have all these positive outcomes from war.
Yes.
And that is like almost completely washed away in this version of the text.
Yeah, it really is. It's a de-glorification of war.
Yeah,
really.
It is. And that which is not true to the Homeric text, but I think that's fine, actually. I don't think it needs to be.
Well, and that's an interesting thing, and I kind of put up this section here, if we end up getting into it, of like what's true and what's not, and like what did we like, what did we not like, because I do think you can say there are a lot of Homeric themes in this, for sure.
Yeah.
But then there are things that were intentionally left out, and I think there are intentions behind that. And whenever I go into a movie that is about the classical world, I try and go in with this lens of, I know it's not going to be true to what I have it in my mind, because we've studied it. It's like the first things that we studied, right? How many years ago? And the first things we read in Greek early on were like Homer. And so it's always like this, you have an idea in your head of what it's going to look like, and it's like, was this my version. But I think as, like, when we think about reception and how anything is translated or adapted for a different genre or a different medium or whatever, we've got to think about, like, well, why did they pick some things and why didn't they pick others? So I'm going to do like a Homeric truth.
Homeric truth.
Versus, Homeric. Yeah, I'm going to put truth in this, like truth. So, yes, you had this idea of what's called Xenia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Xenia. You
Yeah,
can do either
Xenia.
one, which is that hospitality.
Yep. And I've seen people online saying that the focus on this theme in the movie is some kind of like Christian recasting of the Odyssey. Because it's very similar to, like, I suppose, the Christian principle, do unto others as they would do unto you. But I think it's like, it doesn't have to be that. And there are some scenes in the film that are so not Christian or so blatantly foreign in the way they perform religion that I found that to be a strange take. I was like, they go to the underworld and sacrifice goats, sheep, something.
They do. Which, I mean, so yeah, we had that, like, Nicaea scene, right?
They did it. They did Nicaea, and I loved
Oh
it.
my
I thought it was
God,
great.
so good.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't picture them, like, coming out of the ground in that, like, visceral kind of way.
Yeah. No, I think in the text they just sort of appear.
Yeah, they're like they're like shades,
Yes,
right?
they are. They're shades. Their bodies were more corporeal. There was like a bigger horror element to it than maybe there is in the text, where in the text it's just sort of sad and depressing.
Yeah.
There's
Which
a
is,
horror element
yeah.
to it in the Nicaea in this text.
There's several horror scenes,
There
like
really are, actually.
the underworld,
The underworld is
or
more
the underworld Nicaea, right?
Yeah. Obviously, Polyphemus is horrifying in the text as well, in the sense
Yeah.
that, like, it's viscerally disgusting. But there's also, like, a lot of witty repartee and banter and funny stuff in that part. But in the movie, it was almost entirely just body horror.
Right.
Yes. Which is fine.
One of our, like, only preserved satyr plays is called The Cyclops, and it's Odysseus, and then his men are satyrs in this version. And a satyr play is a really comedic version of something mythological.
Often vulgar.
Yeah, immediately after 3 very, like, depressing tragedies, they'll put on a satyr play in order to, like, lighten the mood a little bit. And this is, like, one of those things, hey, Anadrel! And this is one of these things that are kind of, like, added in to, or used to play with emotions, but, like, they make, in the satyr play, the chorus are Odysseus's men. They're basically, like, avoiding being, like, sexually penetrated, anally penetrated by Polyphemus.
That sounds right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's how, like, funny it could get. But yeah, Christopher Nolan picks this really, like, dark version.
Yes.
And also with, like, Cersei
Yes.
and her, like, making them into pigs.
Yes, instead of tapping with a wand,
Yeah.
she physically reshapes them as they're eating. It was very, like, Spirited Away to me,
Mm-hmm.
where the parents are eating too much food and suddenly become pigs.
Oh,
That's what it reminded me of
interesting.
heavily.
Oh, I didn't
And
think of that.
in Spirited Away, there's, like, a moralistic element to it, right? Where you're, like, overindulging yourself, and that leads to your transformation. And so it's their willingness to sort of engage in this taking from her household that lets her reshape them. There's, like, a sense that they deserve it.
Yeah.
And she explicitly says that to Odysseus. I wouldn't have been able. This is their real shape.
This
right?
is the, go back into your disguises.
Exactly.
She
Go
says
back
to them
into
as she
your
paints them
disguises.
back into men.
Yes, and in the text, that episode is not nearly as weighted morally, and it's all about the danger of a nasty woman and, like, and how that's, like, another thing that's kind of missing from this whole movie. Actually, is the idea of, like, the dangerous woman, which is so present in the.
I mean, you get
Odyssey.
it. You get it with Clytemnestra.
You do a little bit,
Because he gets the warning. No, well,
but the
A
part
little
where
with
she's
Helen.
making potions, where she's, like, cast
Oh,
herself as, like, an
yes.
enchantress in some way, that's completely absent
Yeah.
from the film, which made me a little sad. I do love that, like, element of Helen's character.
yeah. So
the
let's
idea of women as
talk
dangerous
about that.
is reduced here.
Let's talk about that, like, Menelaus scene, because I kind of talked about this with, like, Francis and Jason, but I don't think they got it as much because they haven't read the Odyssey, which we're sticking with. I brought Emily Wilson's. Wasn't from Willow. What, that wasn't from Willow? What? Oh gosh, we're on a delay. So I have actually. It has been a long time since I saw Willow, the movie Willow.
I don't know what the movie Willow is.
It is Pretty old. Pretty old. I feel like it's pretty old. Yeah, Willow is, it is a fantasy. Gosh, it's so old. It's been so long since I've watched Willow, guys. I'm gonna have to skip it, but I promise, like, I'll have to review this one. But we're sticking with, or I'm following Emily, so we have it here in case we need to reference it.
Cool.
But I love that scene in the movie, in Christopher Nolan's movie, where Menelaus and Helen are talking.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of John Bernthal
As Menelaus?
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had no strong feelings about Menelaus.
I didn't really either, but this was kind of like, oh, I kind of like him more of this, like, I don't know, because you mentioned Troy and having seen Troy. How many times have you seen, this is the 2004? Yes, 2004 movie. How many times have you seen Troy?
Straight through, not that many times.
Oh, really?
Clips shown in the classroom, many times.
Okay,
But I've
okay.
seen it the whole way through at least a couple of times.
Okay. I think I've seen it at least 20 or 30 times.
Oh my god.
I've
the
watched it
entire
a
thing.
lot. Yeah,
Ooh.
I've watched it a lot. And I showed it to my Classics in Cinema course as well. So, yeah, that would be interesting about the Cersei Willow thing. That would be an interesting crossover, actually. I'm going to have to look into that. That's an interesting crossover, Reception and Willow of the Odyssey.
I'll have to look this up later.
Yeah. I remember being traumatized by it as a kid, because I was just like, oh god, this is like dark and kind of scary, and like, yeah, people being transformed. But I also was like, I thought Pinocchio and the kid being transformed into donkeys was scary as
That
hell.
is scary.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it just objectively is a scary thing to happen.
Yes. So, but I don't know. But yes, I loved the scene though when, okay, so one, they immediately recognize that Telemachus is Odysseus' son,
Yes.
just like in the epic. Then they both kind of like are clearly not happy, like not happy at all with each other.
No.
No, I'm curious, like, when did she get scarred? When did her face get scarred?
I mean, to me, it was implied that he did it, or that it happened.
You're the other. Yeah, that's what
Post-rescue is kind of how I interpreted it.
that's what Francis and Jason also thought, and I was like, ooh, interesting.
I also
Like,
wouldn't be that unreasonable to think that in the sack of the city, it's not. They show actually quite a bit of the sack of the city in the movie, which is like something I'm not totally sure about. One of the things I wasn't totally sure about. They spent so much time on it, but they don't show Helen's recovery in that moment.
No.
At all. They don't show it.
No.
So it's also not unreasonable that might have happened during that episode, because they show it quite frankly to be very violent. They show women being sort of carried off into dark corners. You have like the play Trojan women hinted at in that scene.
yes,
So at least
lots of
maybe it happened
rape,
there.
abduction, but nothing that was like physically shown.
No, just heavily implied.
Yes.
And so you're seeing we're piling up the various aspects of the ill effects of the war machine that like Odysseus is carrying throughout the film. But yes.
Yeah, it is an interesting, like, I've seen a lot of criticisms, different criticisms from different people, and I do want to get into that eventually, but maybe we talk about first, like, our things that we really liked and everything too, and like we can start like mapping this out too on this, like, what's truth versus this. So I do like this idea of like Xenia, this hospitality, and I think you're right where you hit it on this idea of like people should just use like basic courtesy toward each other, and I think that's something that we kind of feel like we've lost as a current society.
Yeah, right. So I think the film is trying to ask us, what do we owe one another? And there's some specific ritualized aspect to Homeric Xenia that involve like certain kinds of supplication practices, that
Yes.
include, like physical beard pulling and
You
things
shouldn't
like this.
ask people their names right away,
Right,
which they definitely are doing.
Exactly. There are certain aspects to it that make it very Homeric, but the general idea is pretty pervasive across many different cultures, and
Yeah.
religions, and time periods. And so I think it's always a relevant question to ask, is like, how do we currently treat each other in society, and why, and how do we approach it? And so the idea that like, the war machine is the end of society, I think is an interesting way to look at the concept of hospitality.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. And I think, yeah, they constantly refer to it as Zeus's law, which we can get into the gods in a little bit too. But like, yeah, so this is Zeus's law, which I think is an easier way of saying Xenia or Xenia
No,
instead of like introducing a new thing. Cause I do feel like at the beginning, especially, there's a lot of exposition dump
Yes.
and a lot of like information that you're getting, and it's like, oh gosh, like what's going on right now, which I do appreciate though. So it starts off with this like in a time of apparent magic.
Yes.
What do you
But
think
then
about
there
that?
was your
Yeah.
dog is
Oh,
begging
Daisy,
for
down.
challenges right now. She just wants love.
You can join. Maybe.
I
We'll see.
felt betrayed by that actually because I thought it was heralding a movie that was gonna be full of all the gods, and there obviously was magic. There was like Cyclops, there were monsters, Circe was there, but I thought that also meant we were going to have the gods around, and so I was a little bit bummed by that. I felt like it was like an overpromise, underdeliver opening a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Like where were the gods? Why weren't they there? Especially because we keep talking about Zeus's law constantly. So I didn't. That was a bit of a sad for me.
So this is a thing that was when I did the trailers. I was like, I want to know how they're going to represent this. I was like, how are they going to represent, like Odysseus being in disguise, because he's like transformed and people look at him and they don't see him, and only his dog like recognizes that it's actually him, right?
He put on a cloak and
Yeah, apparently, which is fine. I mean, because we did see one of the guys did recognize him right as he was dying in Pylos the temple, not Pylos the palace.
Yes.
As he was dying, he looks and he sees him and is like, oh. But it was a little weird that Eurycleia didn't. But I guess she
did when she saw the
scar, but not when she saw. But was he keeping his? I need to maybe look it for a third time because I've seen it now twice, and I really do want to see it a third time.
My sense for like Eurycleia, but also for Penelope, was they did recognize him, especially Penelope, but she wasn't going to acknowledge that he was Odysseus until they behaved like Odysseus.
Yes.
She knew that it was him, but she was like, "It's you, but is it really you?
Yes.
Can you be that guy?"
Which you is home, like.
Yeah. And so I think that was. I think she recognized him right away, but she was waiting to see like.
Yeah.
Is it really you? Or
Yeah.
are you to change to be my husband?
Well, when he started using the when he used the bow, that was when it was like she looks at him, she sees him, and he bends it once, and that wasn't his intentional try. He was just like loosening it up a little bit more, bending it up a little bit more, and then that's when she turns around and is like, oh nope, this is not my husband.
Yes.
Like he's gone, and turns around and walks away.
She hears the plug.
Bong.
Yeah, which I thought was an interesting addition. I liked it.
Yeah.
It had no parallel in the text that I
No.
could think of, that Odysseus plucked the bowstring prior to
No, we can
I was
dig
like,
into it.
so,
You know, I mean, if we're really going to be true to it, I mean, he needs to strip off all of his clothes and be naked throughout the entire thing as he's killing everyone.
which, like,
Oh, my voice, the guest is a bit echoey. Okay, let's see. It might be the bad camera. I might have to move up a little bit more to
run
it.
over Daisy.
No, you won't. You're good. I might have you move up a little bit more.
Maybe this is better.
Hopefully this is better. Because she's also probably picking up on my mic too. So yeah, it would be nice if we had, a buck naked Matt Damon throughout the entire thing. But I feel like that would probably have been a little much, and everyone would have been like, "This is comical now, and not as serious as he's going for." But I'll find it eventually because I love that scene so much.
Yes, I think that's another thing that's maybe not true to Homer that is like a little sad to me, but also not necessarily a bad thing. Is like they recharacterize Odysseus quite a bit.
Oh, I know what it is. She's not even in the room.
Penelope.
Yeah.
When the contest with
Right.
the tutors begins.
The contest begins, and she says I can't be here for this. I'm gonna go, and she goes and cries in her room, and then Athena puts her to sleep.
Yep.
So, but yeah, as for the plucking thing, I don't think
that
he ever had a plucking thing, which
I don't believe so.
is interesting. And to kind of go back to our not true to Homer, there is this idea of maybe there's not a lack of there is a lack of arete time in Kleos, but there is this idea of honor.
But it's a modern honor.
Yes, it is a modern honor.
Which is fine because this movie is meant for a modern audience.
Yes, exactly. Of like, the game is like killing people or hunting or anything doesn't have as much value if it's like too easily won or something. Of like, it's got to be hard, it's got to be a struggle, and if it's a struggle, then and so like just shooting something for the sake of shooting something.
That's true.
Like warning the boar, and so he plucks it to like, yeah. And so even like almost everything that he does, he's got to pluck that bow first and make that noise first, which cracks me up. My cat. So yeah, he's got to warn the boar that way, and even Eumaeus is like, why do you have to warn the boar? Like, is this just an honor thing? Are you like, this is hubristic almost that you're like trying to do this?
But I think it's also maybe that is a bit Homeric, really, because one of the things that does characterize a Homeric Greek hero is his ability to kill stuff, right? Like being a killing machine is part of what makes you a hero. And Odysseus in the movie multiple times is like, when I have to be, I actually am a killing machine,
Yeah,
right?
and I will.
And I will. And part of that is also my ability to hunt successfully, to identify, opportunities to kill stuff successfully. So that part of his Homeric identity is intact.
Yeah.
Because he's smart, but he's also a killing machine.
Yeah.
That's all heroes are supposed to be.
Of course. But what's interesting, though, is that he seems like, and this is one of the criticisms that I've heard from people, is that he seems almost like unaware that war is this brutal.
Until he gets there.
Yeah, that he's been there for 10 years, and then like, and that's I think one of the weird things, right, is that like he isn't this seasoned warrior when Troy is falling 10 years in as much as he probably should be, because he's like, what have we done? We've turned this gift of peace into a horror of war.
Yes. And I mean, that is like a thing that maybe is hinted at in some of the dialogue. In the movie, they talk about being camped outside the walls for 10 years, or like sieging the walls of Troy for 10 years. They talk about the impregnable walls of Troy. And so I think they're sort of downplaying the extent to which violence was happening.
Yeah. It kind of seems like they've just been sitting and like being annoying.
And like shooting some arrows up on the walking ramparts for
Yeah.
the last 10 years or whatever. But of course, the Iliad is full of horrible, bloody battles. People's scalps are being ripped out, and eyeballs are being plucked.
And Odysseus does a lot of it too. Like, he's not innocent in any of this, and so it's weird. It was weird to me that he was walking through, and this is why I gave it a 9 instead of a 10, is that as he's walking through Troy, he's not killing unless it absolutely has to happen.
He's attacked.
Yeah, either he's attacked or one of his men are attacked and about to be killed, in which case he will kill, but he otherwise is like, this is so unnecessary and I'm so upset by this. So it is this, I read this as, I tend to maybe do this too much, but I read this because he is an American British author, this anti-colonialism, like colonialism guilt almost, and American war guilt that is kind of a leftover of, well, all the years that the United States has effed around, but post 9/11, like, I don't know, whenever I look at movies that are this, this is great. Thank you, Leia's stuck in traffic. That there's
He's not there.
yeah, the baby isn't thrown off the walls.
Which is shown a lot in ancient art, by the way. All kinds of paintings on bases of the Cyanax just getting like really yeeted off the walls, as the kids would say.
Or like used to kill his grandfather, Priam, by Neoptolemus.
So that particular moment of violence is actually a popular one in ancient art, and also is referenced often in literature, but it was not even brought out in the movie.
I mean, Greek art is not, it doesn't stray away from horror and gore and shock. Like, it just doesn't. So,
and neither did the movie, but at certain moments of it, it did. Sort of say, we're not going to show this.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it would be too upsetting to an audience to throw a baby off of the ramparts.
well, or even like the assault of women, because like Cassandra gets pulled off of the statue.
I was
And
glad they didn't show any actual rape.
yes,
I was happy with that choice.
I am also glad. But this is why. Like, that was filled in with, I mean, that's like, in the Iliad, Briseis is a rape victim. Like, she's been abducted, and she's quote unquote the reason that Achilles is all pissed off, but because this is his prize that has been taken from him.
And that piece of like Homeric society or culture is
Yes.
like not there.
Yes, the objectification of women.
I mean,
It's there.
You see it a little bit in Sack of Troy.
Yeah.
You see it in Circe's monologue.
Yes.
You see it in the way that the suitors are like circling Penelope.
But in a Me Too kind of way, if that makes sense, you know?
Sort of, yeah, I suppose so.
Sorry, our Daisy's being very cute and adorable.
I keep leaning off to pet the dog, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
She just looks like she really needs it.
She really, it just never gets attention. Never. There is this like, apology almost for objectifying women with Cersei, and with and this is my question that ties into the gods as well. And I kind of proposed this to Jason and Francis, and they were like, "Oh gosh!" In my first stream about this, which I will link in stuff later, but that was the one with Francis and Jason. This is our more classicist version. What if Athena, because Zendaya's character, Athena, is our only god that we see, and unless you count Calypso.
And that's never made explicit. It's hinted at, obviously, that
Yeah.
Calypso is supernatural.
Yeah.
But it's never explicit.
It's never, yeah. So is Athena really Athena, or is she a haunting? Sorry, sorry, Daisy. Is she haunting Daisy? Come on. Is she haunting? You can if you want to pick her up and put her on your lap, but she might scratch you with your shorts on.
Her personal space.
I think she wants to hang out with you.
We're hanging out, Daisy. We're hanging out right now. Sorry, what about Athena?
No, what if she's haunting
Odysseus?
What if this is not Athena at all, but this is a PTSD memory?
Well, I think it's I can't remember the exact.
Daisy,
I might be able to.
come here. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break to tame this dog. I'll be right back. This one. Okay, sorry about that. We had to give the dog a treat and reward her for bad behavior.
I feel like there was a moment. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the moment where they're sacking the city, and you see the head of Athena bouncing down the stairs a couple of times. I feel like maybe it's sort of implied that that Zendaya is a priestess of somebody of Athena, or is a woman in the city that happens to die on those steps, and that she appears to him in the guise of Athena because it's got this guilty conscience. And that was like a thing I've sort of seen that I agree with. There's, I don't know, a sort of psychologizing of the text. Maybe one of the things I wonder about. I've seen a lot of takes on the Odyssey as a text that examines things like PTSD. Yeah, they would call it that, obviously, in ancient Greece, but we have...
Same with the Iliad as well,
yes,
right?
yes.
Like what's that book? Achilles.
One from like the 60s.
Yes, yeah. Keep going.
But if you think about Calypso's island, she gets recast as the giver of the lotus, and so she's helping him overcome repressed trauma memories, I guess, with 7 years of a powerful magical narcotic, which is not, I guess, that different than what happens to some of his crew in the text, where they are happy to take this thing that will help them forget what's happened to them. So there's that where you're like taking medication to help you with a traumatic event, and then
which was an interesting way of like weaving together the lotus without leaving it out, because I feel like he did have to leave a lot, or Christopher Nolan did have to cut a lot from this, obviously. It's a very long book. And it took 12 hours for us to read it like aloud for home marathon, right? Yes. So it would have been very long, and no one wants a 12-hour Christopher Nolan movie.
No.
But I do want to see the director's cut of this, if there is one. I do want to see one. I have a feeling there will be. It's just but yeah, the book is called Achilles in Vietnam: Combat Trauma and the Undoing of Character. And that was, it's kind of now today been kind of like poo-pooed or whatever, just like, but it is this idea of like the Iliad and the Odyssey are texts that have existed for thousands of years because they have some value, some cultural value to them. And we just have to pick basically which which type of value do you want at this point? What's relevant to the audience at this point?
Exactly. I think that's really the most important point here is like no point arguing about whether or not it hits all the Homeric themes on the nose. Why would you expect it to? It's a movie for a modern audience.
Right.
And I think it does meaningfully take one major theme and explore it in a way that resonates with viewers who have lived through decades of wars. Maybe particularly an American audience, if I'm being honest, but
especially like I think of post-COVID and now in like our modern world, especially with like the Iran war that's going on, and before that, again, the post 9/11 like invasion of Iraq, like there's a lot of like themes there that even the ancient Greeks recognized because they use this as ways to cope with the Persian invasion in the 5th century BCE. And so we're still using these texts for this really interesting idea of groups of people going and invading, particularly going to the east, going east to invade, which I think is frustrating with humanity.
That's the point of any durable piece of literature, that you can use to think through things in your own life and time, in addition to learning about the past, potentially. I'm still disappointed with Athena. I thought the Lack of Gods was a bad choice. And I think, especially because you hear about them so much, I'm trying to think through why does he have the characters constantly mention Zeus's law to the point that it's like a little weird and bring up the gods
And like worried about the gods being disguised. Yeah, they're being disguised.
But then you never actually see them except as maybe a figment of Zeus's imagination. And so I'm kind of wondering if it's like, the point of it is, the point he's trying to make is, we might create societal structures that impose morality on us, like religion or other kind of cultural norms, but at the end of the day, actually, it's on human beings to decide that those matter and reinforce them.
Yes.
Our gods aren't going to make you do it, you have to do it.
Yes.
That's my theory for why there are no gods in the film, because actually the point is what human beings alone owe to each other. But I actually did still want the gods. So.
Yeah, I think there's, and this was the same way in Troy, too, the 2004 movie, of like, where are the gods in this? And, I'm actually okay with the gods not being there because I don't think I think it would play weird to a modern audience. Almost like campy, or like, oh, well, if the gods are doing this, and why can't they just stop all of this? And why can't, like, all the questions that we get when we talk about myths in our classrooms of like, if the gods are so powerful, then why not this?
Why do they act like
child babies? Like, why does Zeus rape women? Why all these things, right?
That's true. Like, working in, so the way the gods behave in ancient epic is really a product of ancient religion. It's a relationship that people then had to different deities in that pantheon, so that would have required a whole other level of integration in terms of like, how does that translate to modern context, how do people make sense of the presence of all these gods.
Yes.
So that, I think, maybe that's part of it. He doesn't have the time, potentially, to make that happen.
I think that's a big issue. And like, yeah, this idea of paganism, quote unquote, being so like hokey or unreal, or just not validating I think it would override the other messages that he's trying to get to in general.
I think that's totally fair. And I also don't think he was trying to avoid Greek religion or anything like that, because he does have the scene where they literally sail far enough on the ocean that they get to the land of the dead, and they make a traditional blood sacrifice, and the shades are nothing like, creatures from modern or contemporary Western, most Western religions. And so it wasn't like he was trying to avoid Greek religion or anything like that. It was there.
Yeah, it was definitely there. And you see it with, like, there is a temple, quote unquote. It's very much a more classics version of a temple, but whatever, it's fine. Like, Mycenaean temples aren't really clear to us, besides platforms and stuff like that.
That was the only immersion breaking things to me in the movie, when they were at Ithaca, and I was like, why do they have a medieval castle?
Yeah, yes.
Like, this has gotta be...
Yes.
This is like post-Ottoman, maybe, like, this is a late castle.
Yeah, what is this castle?
Yeah,
and
but I let that go, because I know that the feeling of authenticity is more important than accuracy for most viewers, and that people wouldn't want to see a wooden, painted, mud brick structure.
Exactly. And that was another thing that I was like, oh, these statues are white. Why aren't they painted? Like, if you're going to do stone statues, then just do that one. That felt like an easy win to me. But then, I don't know, maybe it would look comical. at the same time, or cartoony almost.
Yeah,
Because
'cause
imagine
the
that head
tone-
rolling down.
The tone is so somber in the movie, and to a modern audience, like statue with painted lipstick and eyes would have maybe
Rolling down.
would have looked strange, even if that would have been very solemn and important to an ancient viewer.
Right.
So in terms of the architecture and art, he definitely went for a feeling of authenticity more than accuracy, which is like fine.
Which is like an interesting idea to think about when we think about like the mythological past in general, because this is the ancient Greek mythological past, which
Yes.
we know like it has mixes of 8th century BCE, but also Mycenaean-ish elements. And so it's a mishmash that never actually historically existed because we don't have the armor, like all those different types of armor in one time period and all those different like behaviors all in one time period. But that's because it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation.
Yes.
And so it starts to like snowball all of these ideas, kind of like
Yes.
King Arthur.
And he's very much like King Arthur.
Right.
And I think we've also been like a resurgent interest in Arthurian reception too. Lev Grossman just did a take on Arthur. So I think right now we're really into malleable historical fiction
Yes.
that can tell us something about ourselves.
And I think this is the Game of Thrones that like Boris is talking about,
Why not
right?
Gods in the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think actually the reason not is because he really was trying to make a particular point using one of the major themes of the Odyssey. And the gods would have maybe distracted from that major theme. If the theme is like, what do people actually owe each other?
Yes.
And what are your actions?
Not like showing a god being pissed and causing all of this suffering, but instead seeing like, well, no, the humans are the ones causing the suffering. Look at this.
Yep.
And that's why like I didn't hear the Cyclops say Poseidon.
Me either. He just
I
mumbled.
listened
I was like, what did he
twice.
say?
I've watched the movie twice. The first time I was like, wait, did he? And the second time I was like, no, I'm going to listen for this. And I don't hear it at all.
Right.
But the like sailors think they do. And that's enough for them.
Yes, and then the sun god's cattle thing too. The sun god never actually appears. You don't get his perspective, which of course in the text, that's very explicit. But in the movie, they die after they take the sun god's cattle. But you know, that was they're going to die either way. It was kind of an inevitable thing. They're either going to starve or they were going to drown, and that was an interesting.
Yeah, that
thing.
line is a harsh one of like,
is.
well, we decided we would rather drown than starve, and it's like,
okay.
Wow. Okay, pick your death.
So I've got to tell you like the scene I liked the least.
Yes.
Tell our viewers, what does Polyphemus mean in Greek?
Polyphemus, many minds, many phemos.
It's from famous. It's to speak. Polyphemus is like chatter guy, speaking guy that talks a lot. And I was like, and they got to the scene, and it doesn't make any sense to me. They made Polyphemus, whose name literally is I talk a lot, quiet, and he has this muttered word that's like misinterpreted. And
I totally forgot the meaning of his name.
Well, it's just from Fame speaking a lot, and he and Odysseus have this like really interesting back and forth that really served like one of the longest continued pieces of dialogue that he has with a monster in the Odyssey. And so I was like, I am still sad they made Polyphemus voiceless, and I can't understand why they did it. Because I think part of the point of the film is like what are the consequences of our actions. It would have been more impactful, I think, if Polyphemus had been shown to be sentient rather than just like seemingly a thoughtless monster.
Yeah.
That makes the whole exchange more interesting to me. So I was bummed that he was just a puppet.
Yeah. Well, this is the like. So what is he trying to do here with this puppety guy? I kind of got, the more that I went through the more I thought I saw elements of civilized, uncivilized, like able to be understood, not able to be understood, or not speaking at all. So like the Lastrygonians, like the even like, or can't listen to, like the sirens.
I think one of the things the Odyssey, the text, does really well. Like many of the episodes in the Odyssey, you know, this is just men doing bad stuff.
Yeah.
They're burning and stealing, and from people that they meet on the way home. But a lot of people there are just monstrous enough. Like Polyphemus talks like a human. He has a divine parent, like many heroes have. But he's a monster, right? He's gigantic. He's a cyclops. And similarly with Circe, she can speak the talk. She's beautiful. She's divine, but also she does these really bad things. So the Odyssey is constantly asking you, like, how much do you owe people that aren't like you?
Yeah.
What does that look like when the person that you're interacting with is like but not like? And so I think having the Cyclops be a total monster, like, undermined the gravity of that decision that Odysseus makes to screw him over.
Yeah, in the Odyssey, they have him as this, like, okay, there are more Cyclopes out there.
Yes.
And that's what, like, freaks out Odysseus, too, and his men, that they're like, crap, there are more of them.
Yep.
And, like, to me, that is an idea of this is the uncivilized, because they don't work together. They don't live together. They're not like a polis. They're
still
not
doing transhuman pastoralism.
Right, exactly. That these are earlier versions of humans that did not do a good job. And so they are destined to be conquered because they don't work together like a polis does. Because
They don't have
Homeric
the characteristics.
Yeah, because Homeric,
Sure.
like the 8th century BCE is an important time in Greece when the polis, the city-states, are coming together and are really solidifying their own each cultural value. And every city-state is a little different, has its own laws, has its own religion-ish kind of stuff in terms of like, these are the gods that we want to worship, or this is a way that we personally worship them. And so they're all, yes, Greek because they speak Greek, but they all have different laws and rules, and you can only belong to one polis. And so to have a group of people that are so foreign and weird that they don't work together, and they don't have ships, and they don't farm, and what kind of peoples are these? But we can't show that to a modern audience who is like, well, these Greeks are already uncivilized compared to our civilized world.
I see.
We've got to have something even more uncivilized. And I think if we had a talking Polyphemus, it would make the audience again be like, oh, Odysseus is not this good guy that we're wanting him to be. So I think we are. I think this is the weird part about Nolan is in this one, is that I think he wants Odysseus to like be almost blameless. He doesn't sleep around.
I think that I don't think that's making him a good. Yeah, maybe it's making him a good guy, I guess, because that'd be so distasteful to modern audience,
Right.
if he did that.
Right.
Yeah.
If he slept with Circe, like he's supposed to disarm her.
Yeah.
Like Hermes tells Odysseus, you have to seduce her and have sex with her
and there's
to.
a really funny passage where she's like, "Come into my bed," and he's like, "No." Well, yes, if you put down the wand.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and then obviously Calypso, it's heavily implied that they were sleeping together because he was there for 7 years, so that she loved him, but it's like not nearly as egregious as it seems in the text.
Yeah.
Where, like he rises like literally from her bed to go cry on the shore or whatever. So yeah, no, that's true. They're trying to make him. They're softening some of his extremely non-contemporary moral quandaries.
absolutely.
But they're heightening the other big moral quandary, which is like, I did do all this bad stuff, and
Yes.
that is like, and that's actually the reason. I like that actually, because when you read the book, you're like, damn, why did it take you 10 years to get home? Like you could have done that. That could have been.
You could have done that right away.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Right away, exactly. And so they gave him this reason, which was sort of that he had to process his own war trauma before he could go home as like the same person he was. And so I kind of like bought that. I kind of bought that Bronze Age collapse was because of the war, because they don't trust each other anymore, and trade collapsed.
It's
and language
very-
collapsed. I kind of liked that.
It was very
It was neat. I liked it.
Hesiod.
Yeah,
It's very
it
Hesiod,
was very
right?
Hesiod, yeah,
Because we
very
have our
working days.
age of
Yeah.
man, where we have the golden age, where everything's perfect, and then we have the silver age, where
which is populated by giants,
giant babies.
Yes, giant babies.
Giant babies.
Read the works in days.
It's so great. And then we have
The Bronze Age of warriors.
the Bronze Age of
and
warriors.
and they all kill each other.
They kill each other off.
And then eventually men rise after that.
Right, and we have
so-
the Iron Age.
Yes,
Then after that,
that's where we are. Yeah.
and where we are, and Hesiod says it'll be over when men don't work together anymore, basically, where where guests aren't nice to hosts,
Yes.
where sons aren't kind to their fathers, where neighbors aren't good with neighbors, when babies are born with gray hair, fine, whatever, like that sort of stuff of
Yes.
like, okay, this is when we have to be nice. This is why we have to be nice to each other.
Yeah, so it actually is very Hesiotic, the way that he ended it. I thought that was a clever conceit. I liked it a lot. That was my favorite bits of the movie.
There's definitely been parts where people have been like, what the hell? Why are they bringing in the sea people?
sea-
But I
I
was like,
liked it.
I actually thought it was kind of
The
clever.
peoples from the sea, and
Yeah.
I liked it too.
And then they find out that they are the people.
Seagull,
Oh,
yeah,
and it's like, all right, this is...
That was my favorite. It felt very authentic. I liked it. I think it was into the story. It was meaningful to our audience, where it's like, actually, if we do enough of this shit, we're going to destroy our own society.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, because I know, like, some people have told me this, they're like, people are going to look up what the sea peoples are now. And you know what?
Great. Do it.
Come to Classics. We're great over here. Humanities are fun.
Yes.
Like,
we can help you learn about your own society in a safe sandbox of really old books.
Yes. And it's like, oh, look, Americans feel bad about attacking other countries. Guess what? So did the Greeks, and so did the Romans, and here's how they coped with it. Well, maybe not the Romans as much.
Okay, well, don't stereotype.
No, there were definitely a lot of feelings of remorse and guilt, for sure. But this is my, like, beef with the Romans in general, which I'll eventually one day get over.
I'm actually Romanist, so
yes.
I can't hang with this.
I will still hang out with you, though.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Hellenists, and I'm a Bronze Age Hellenist, which honestly, the Mycenaeans are the, like, Romans of the prehistoric world. So they're very warlike compared to our Minoan peaceful, loving. They're not probably peaceful, but
I feel like yeah.
it's a very big stereotype when it comes to, like,
Yes.
the differences between the Minoans and the Mycenaeans based only on their iconography alone.
Yes.
Where it's like, yes, of course, you have these happy scenes painted on,
Dolphins.
yes, dolphins, and we're all going to, like,
Bull
these
jumping.
dances. Yes, everything's great. And then all the frescoes at, like, Pylos are showing, like, war. Well, not all of them, but a couple of them have, like, boar hunts and all this other stuff.
That's
So,
actually an interesting point that I can bring back to, like, teaching, because in order to sometimes to teach these texts or teach these societies, we end up having to, like, stereotype them a little bit or exaggerate their qualities in order to make them more understandable for students, I think. But I like this movie a lot, and that it gives us an easy way to talk about this in a more complex way
Yeah.
with them, and sort of be like, so we've kind of listed the 10 typical Homeric virtues. Let's like break those down. What does that mean now? Let's talk about the Odyssey. Let's watch this clip. I think that's actually a really helpful feature of this movie. It will help us bring more complexity to Homer in the classroom.
well, and this is why I also like teaching the Classics in Cinema course as well, is because it's like, well, why did they change it? What were the reasons? And I think, yeah, we've got a message from Nolan of we need to just be nice to each other. Like, let's return to this, like, civilized behavior. And also this fear that I've noticed, like, the students that I've currently got now are very kind of psychologically affected of, like, the fall of the world.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
we've got climate change, we've got late stage capitalism, we've got yes, she will invade all of your stuff, by the way. She will.
For you, Princess.
But it doesn't matter.
The end of the world, as we know, it's a hard thing for anybody, and especially if you're a younger person, you're like, damn, bro, what's left for me?
Yeah.
And so maybe this movie will resonate with them for that reason.
Maybe. I mean, so I feel like, yeah, a lot of my students have always been like, oh, well, like, why do X, because, like, there probably aren't going to be jobs for that in the future anyway, or why do this because there aren't going to be, I'm not going to have money, I'm not going to be able to buy a house, I'm not going to be able to do all these things that I used to be able to, the golden age, right? Which the ancient Greeks definitely did too.
The golden age is always about an age and a half before where you are. The Romans also did this.
Yes.
Like, every Roman author was like, man, the golden age of Rome.
They did it in the 50s.
Yeah, it's a constant thing. The golden age is always like about 50, 60
moving,
years earlier. Yeah. It's a moving target.
But you wouldn't know that if you didn't study the humanities and didn't study history.
I have a question for you, because I see we're almost at 52 minutes. I don't know how long we usually
Oh, yeah,
talk,
yeah. It doesn't matter. We can just go till whenever.
Well, I feel like, the Odyssey,
I also don't want to keep you, though.
You're not keeping me, I mean. But I have a question for you, because we've seen versions of Homer on the screen several times in different ways, or like adaptations of Homer.
Yeah.
What ancient myth has not received a screen adaptation and you would love to see? TV or movies?
The Aeneid.
The Aeneid. Why never the Aeneid?
I don't know.
It's because Aeneid sucks. It's because he's not like.
You know what? You and I both went into the Odyssey. Actually, we said this. We were like, we don't want a moody Odysseus.
And he was moody.
But I'm actually okay with
fine.
it.
Yeah.
Which is weird, and this is the biggest gripe that I have seen from Classicists, is this is not Odysseus.
He's not funny. He's not charming.
He's not funny. He's not charming. He's not crafty.
He is witty. They say it a couple times, like he's witty and crafty, but it's not as overt.
But you never see it.
Just the horse.
Yeah, just the horse. And I said this in my first stream, I read this online that this is like a thematic sequel to Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
That like Oppenheimer, Odysseus, the Trojan horse, atom bomb, like they're both things that have ended wars, but for like at what cost?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I can see it in that way. I think that's what Nolan wanted to do. I think he also wanted to tell a story that has creative timeline ideas. Because if you look at all of his movies, we kind of talked about this with Francis and Jason too, all of his movies jump around in time. Inception, like they all have weird, like bendy time rules.
So this was a Nolan movie, which is fine.
But it was already that way because parts of it were already that way because it's written in medias res and like
yeah, I mean like the stories you get it is actually Odysseus narrating it to, and like at the very end of his journey to somebody else, right? Which you don't see in this movie. That's sort of the narrative device that the poem uses.
Right. Because, and I think that's what people were pissed about, is that they're like, well, you can't trust Odysseus. So you shouldn't have, they should have made it so that we don't trust Odysseus. But I don't think that's the message that Nolan wants to get into at all. He wants Odysseus to be trusted. That's why he doesn't sleep around, because a modern audience would be pissed at that.
At the very least, Odysseus as a man has realized he was doing wrong and is doing better.
Yeah.
Part of the point. Maybe it's one of the other messages actually we're supposed to perceive from this is like it's possible to be a better person.
To correct your
choose
path.
To correct your path. Yeah, maybe that's another. Which is like not a super Greek idea, but that doesn't really matter.
Not a Greek idea.
It's kind of the opposite of a Greek idea. Once you're really fucked, you're really fucked.
Yeah.
You're Greek a lot of times, you're Greek mythology. Or you're never. If you're like Odysseus, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah. So this is why I think the Aeneid has not been really done, because it's a story about, yes, this dutiful Aeneas who
P.S. Aeneas, baby.
P.S. Aeneas. He's dutiful, he's responsible. That's not a fun that's not a fun guy. No one's really into that.
He is mopey in the text.
He is very mopey. He but Odysseus does too.
All the time.
But Odysseus does too.
Cries all the time.
And
everyone cries.
Yeah.
In Homeric battle and society, all
yeah.
the heroes cry.
Some of the ways maybe less manly than others,
okay, but
according to the ancient Greeks.
you can cry in a manful way.
Yes, you can. There's ancient Greek ways.
Yeah.
Rolling in the dirt over your boyfriend, maybe not so much Achilles,
Well,
but
Achilles had a lot going on then.
he did have a lot going on.
But I would still like to see the Aeneid. I think you could do it. Where's the House of Atreus show we all need?
Ooh, interesting.
Where's the House of Atreus on
That
TV?
could be a fun one.
They introduced us to them in this film, right? We have like Agamemnon and Menelaus, and we hear about Agamemnon.
And Orestes.
And Orestes is in there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why.
We want a mini-series. We want a Mycenaean mini-series.
The House of Atreus would be a sick miniseries.
There's so many like terrible things that happens to that.
Cannibalism.
Oh yeah. Chopping up babies.
Exactly.
Like,
there's a lot there.
yeah. Incest. Incest? No, not so much incest. But stealing, brothers fighting with each other.
Yes,
like
internecine stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, there is incest. Because I'm so proud that I remembered that. Thyestes sleeps with his daughter to have
that's right.
Atreus, or not Atreus,
what's it?
Aegisthus.
Yeah, just this. Gosh, who also ties back into the Homeric. So it would be. I think that'd be a lot of drama. I think HBO could do a great job. So
Yeah.
HBO, hit us up if you want consultants for the.
We
House
will
of Atreus
consult
miniseries.
this.
I think that would be a great one. I'm just like picturing Seneca's Thyestes like
Uh-huh.
on screen.
Uh-huh.
It would be great.
You could have lots of really interesting themes with that.
Yeah, you could.
Okay, so that's yours that you want.
It really would be.
Yeah. I feel like the Aeneid would just be like, too whiny, and I don't know. I'm sure someone could do it really well, but I don't know. I love the Aeneid for its plays on Roman exceptionalism, and like the underworld scene is really fun to me. It's really cool to see like all the people that are gonna and you also see the people that are gonna come.
Yeah.
Like it's something rewarding about being like, oh, this is the product of my work.
Yes.
I now can see it, which we can never do. Like,
Wow. Someone in chat does not want to see the Aeneid on screen.
oh, it's okay. It's okay.
It would be good. I would see the Aeneid on screen.
Okay.
Because it's never been adapted. It's kind of wild.
It is a little weird. Yeah, because there's been several Odyssey revamped.
There was the miniseries in the 90s, which I love, by the way.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
It's speaking of campy.
Okay, I have not seen it, so.
Really? Oh my god, it's really good. It's all on YouTube.
Why is it really good?
Because it actually does. So
Does it follow?
it follows the story.
Okay.
It really follows the story piece by piece. Are the costumes accurate? Do they have, like, the boar tusk?
Yeah.
No. But the gods are all there. They're, like, doing what exactly they're supposed to do in the text.
Okay.
And so I like it because it takes you through every episode in the Odyssey.
Oh, cool.
And Vanessa who is someone really amazing, plays Calypso and Circe. You should watch it. It's worth it.
Both characters? Interesting.
No, they're different. But they're
Okay,
both
okay.
castings,
Okay.
I'm saying. Interesting. And it opens with Odysseus, like, crying and, like, beating his hands on the sand.
Yes.
Which is accurate. So,
Yeah, it is. No, he's like, he really just wants to go home. Oh, that was one thing that I really liked about the movie, Christopher Nolan movie. In both the epic and the movie, he doesn't actually see he just ends up on shore. And he's in Ithaca, and he's like, where am I? Oh, what?
Yeah.
Like, in the book, it's all campy and weird because he falls asleep on the boat, and the Phaeacians leave him on the shore, and then they go away, which is weird. But, like, this is the whole theme of, like, he just wants to see his day of homecoming.
Yes.
That's, like, repeated throughout his, like, time with Calypso, that he just wants to see his day of homecoming, which I think is something that you can't say to a modern audience, because the modern audience would be like, well, what about your wife and kid? Right. That's who you should want to see.
Right.
But, no, I mean, yes, he does obviously want to see them, but he wants to see Ithaca. And his, like, love for Ithaca, I think, is more, like, what's keeping him or what's killing him than anything else.
Actually, maybe this is, like, the last question. We've been going for an hour now.
Yeah.
Penelope asks him, one of the emotional scene they have before he actually goes to Troy, like, let's just don't go. Like, let's just run away.
Oh, yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
no, if I don't go, it's going to fall apart. I have to do this for us. And, of course, in the actual text, Odysseus does try and avoid the war.
He does.
He tries to use a trick to not go.
Yeah.
And so I'm surprised that they
didn't have a trick moment.
Didn't have something like that where he tries to avoid it. Maybe that would have made him seem dishonorable.
This is what I'm thinking, is this, because this is very Hector of him. This is very, like, Hector in the Iliad of, like, I have to go do this thing. Yes, you're telling me to stay back, but I'm going to go and do this anyway. And so that feels, like, more heroic, right? Modern heroic and ancient heroic than...
Yes.
Is it the wise choice? No, but...
Yes, and actually they spend a decent amount of time. Obviously, I loved Antinous in the movie. I thought Rob Pattinson was so good.
Gosh, he was really good.
And here for a long time, the idea of, like, the dishonorable nature of, like, deserting, or, like, having... It was, like, almost like making fun of a war deserter now. Like that's so bad for them to do. Which isn't really exactly a Greek idea, but that was a thing that they really lingered on in the film.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Antinous in general. Like,
it was so good.
It was very, very good. I mean, granted, they didn't do a lot thing in the Odyssey or in Troy's story at all. Like, it wasn't a lot thing. It was everyone who was able to fight left.
Right.
It wasn't just, like, a small number of people. But I think they needed to have some, like, reason to hate Antinous.
Yes.
And this was a great one of, like, he got Sinon. He's the one that sent Sinon, and then Sinon's dad even dies in poverty, and, like, everything is terrible.
They really
and
dramatize it around Antinous.
Yeah. I saw a lot of, like, Americanism in there of, like, this, like, lost American dream almost, and war, and lost ideas of war, or, like, the corruption of war. But I also, like, saw a lot of capitalism, I guess, in it as well, if that makes any sense.
Where?
With Agamemnon.
Oh, like the real motive for the whole war.
Yeah.
Which is implied in ancient sources from time to
Some
time.
of it from time, but not in the Homer.
No.
Not in Homer at all.
In Homer, it's like, my wife.
It is a woman that started this whole thing. She
Yes.
is the reason,
Right.
like...
But you're right. There was, like, a strong sense of money over everything.
One of my students was like... I've been talking to my students in WhatsApp and stuff that have gone to Greece with me in the past. And one of them said she loved that Agamemnon didn't have, like, a single line, and we barely saw his face. And to me, that felt like a
corporation.
Yes, exactly. Of, like, we're just going to do this thing, and I'm a yes man. Yeah. And we're all yes men going along and doing these things. So that's how it felt to me.
That's completely fair.
There was another complaint that I had heard from someone who was mad that, the olive bed. the bed.
Oh, they got rid. I assumed that was just for sake of time, personally.
I think parts of it were, but if you looked and paid attention, there is an olive tree on the throne.
Okay.
So that's where I was like, oh, is that an olive tree on the throne? And is that their little nod to it of like this immovable throne, this throne of Odysseus? I kind of wish they had called more attention to it or something, but like, I think time was an issue for sure.
It was already a long movie.
It was already a long movie, but I mean, I still want to see the director's cut. So that's my thought there is like, look for the like little olive tree motifs throughout. And then what was the other thing? One thing that pissed me off was really minor. The pin, the Athena pin. Then he said like it's a Athena with vines around it, but it looked like a snake to me, and snakes are more Athena.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, maybe Americans and like a modern audience would not know, like, because snakes are evil.
Snakes are heavily associated with healing and wisdom. And
Yeah, snakes are not like, some are bad in Greek mythology, but like there's a good and bad evil to them, and yeah, they are related to medicine, rebirth, resurrection, like defeating of death. And so Athena has them also because the kings of Athens pop out of the ground, and anything that pops out of the ground is half snake, half human. And so the first kings of Athens were half snake, half human, and that's why Athena has snakes on her. But I was like, in the trailer, I was like, oh, this pin, whatever he's holding in his hand must be Athena, because that looks like a snake wrapped around it.
And then it was vines.
And then it was vines, and he literally said vines. And I was like, God damn it, like...
There are always going to be small things.
I know.
Being bugged by small inaccuracies like that. And overall, for the movie, I would say, you know, if you're going in looking for a faithful reproduction of Homeric epic, that's mostly not what this is.
Yeah, go to the miniseries.
Yeah,
it sounds like.
Go to the miniseries for a fun, campy time.
Yeah. But that's what the reason, right?
Yeah.
Campy.
But I think you could do it uncampily. I do think you could do it uncampily. You have to really decide to focus your attention differently. Because the lens in the film was like way over here on this idea of like what humanity does to itself and how it happens, not like over here on American society as an entity or like scholarly idea.
Yeah. We have sorry, I know we should go soon, but watched the movies presently, really enjoyed it, and wanted to read Emily Wilson's translation now. Excited to learn a little bit more here. This is my first real interest in Greek mythology, and this is what I'm really fascinated about with not just the Odyssey coming out. I've had so many conversations with people who, not just the Odyssey, but also Epic, the musical Epic, and how much attention this has brought to the Odyssey. I would love to see this kind of same attention to the Iliad, so I'm excited that they're doing Iliad. The same guy who did Epic is going to do an Iliad version, or is in the process of it. Yeah, I haven't listened to any of it yet, so, but yeah, I think this is great. A great time for humanities in general, which have been widely underfunded, and
leads to any improvement in the actual state of humanities and higher education. But
yeah,
I hope so.
I mean, a lot of students told me, like, because I teach that large myth class, I asked them, like, how many of you had to read the Odyssey in high school, and the numbers are dropping a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
But when they raise their hands, they're always like, yeah, I had to, and I didn't like it. I was like, well, let's try and make you like it, like, and I'm hoping that this does.
Yeah.
Like Boris's younger daughter is mentioning here.
I hope so too. If this leads to a revivification of the classics, then it will all have been worth it.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a good movie,
sure.
so go see it.
It is a really, really good movie.
It's a really good movie.
So if there was anything that we missed that you guys didn't like about the movie that we didn't discuss, I think, again, the Odysseus not being crafty cunning to me was not. If I'm thinking of what makes the Odyssey, it's the journey.
Yeah.
And it's a Cyclops has to be in there, but whether or not like he talks and you have your like Uchi's nobody trick,
Right.
Fine. But this desire just to get home,
Yes.
I think is a long journey. You want to get home. That's what an Odyssey is, and that's what a representation is. And so,
Yep. The Nostos is the main point.
Yeah.
The homecoming journey.
the homecoming.
Yes. Is the journey super long because Odysseus keeps fucking around and finding out? Yes. But
Yes.
yes. But
And his men sometimes
and
too.
sometimes also. But yeah, for sure, the journey is the focus. I agree.
Yeah. And I think, sorry, I'm going to keep going back to stuff. The one part that I was like, this does not feel like Christopher Nolan's Odysseus is when Matt Damon wants to be tied up to the mast
Oh yeah.
to hear the siren song. the like immediate scene after that where he's like crying and bawling, and this song is a sad song, in fact, and is like telling you of all the things that you had and lost,
Yes.
was just like gut-wrenching to me and very appropriate. But it's weird, it felt out of character for the type of character that Nolan had been creating, that he wanted to do this thing.
I mean, yes and no. I think there are moments where you see like Odysseus's nature wanting to mess around and find out.
Yeah.
When they first leave
Plucking
Troy,
at the bow.
plucking at the bow, and like, you know, when they're leaving Troy in the first place, and the guy was like, "We're gonna stay on the trade route. See ya." And Odysseus is like, "Let's just sail that way."
That's true.
Which is true.
Yeah.
I mean, that basically happened. And so
Yeah.
there are moments where he can't stop himself from trying to find out.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like a piece of characterization from the text. It's just that
Yeah.
Odysseus in the text is much more jolly about it.
Yeah.
And the Odysseus from the movie is like moody persistently. And I think he's still clever. He does clever stuff like the wax and the.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, he's less happy while he does it.
Yeah.
Less charming.
And I think we had like moments of him being like really quick and witty, not just with the horse, but also when Tiresias is telling him like, here's all the things you're going to come across. And he immediately is like, well, then I'll do this. Well, then I'll do that. Well, then I'll do this.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like it is, but it's just not as.
He's not, the Odysseus movie is not charming or funny. Like
No,
Odysseus in the text.
but I wouldn't know. Honestly, that's what I hate about Odysseus.
That he's charming.
So, no, that he is this like hoaxy trickster snake oil kind of guy to me.
I mean, I don't think he's snake oil. I think that when he does tricks, it's usually in the service of heroism. Or like his own
But his own
personal
heroism.
Yeah,
his
yeah,
heroism.
He's not a good, I don't think he's a good commander for his men.
Not a good. He's not.
But,
No.
But in American society, that's okay. I think.
Yeah, so I'm always like, I like to see who likes which one more, Iliad or Odyssey, and I'm very much an Iliad
I'm an
person.
Iliad girl.
Okay, yeah.
I like the Odyssey too. I enjoy teaching it. I think it's easier to teach, but I do enjoy the Iliad. As
The Iliad is just a strong, like, moral, like, dilemma of, like, I want to, I'm not going to fight because the system is broken. Fuck you guys. Like, I'm not going to do it.
I enjoy the Iliad as a text more, but yeah, they're both great.
They are both great. Read them both. Doesn't matter which order you read them. I do recommend Emily Wilson's version. Do you have a version you like?
Oh, I think Emily Wilson's is my favorite, especially if you're coming to it as a newer reader.
I will say Barry Powell is also very readable, especially if you get a version that has like images in it, because he does footnotes right there in the actual text right below. And so Barry Powell, Emily Wilson, those are great translations of both the Iliad and the Odyssey that I would encourage you guys to look at.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully we got to all of it. Smarmy. I don't like a smarmy guy.
I don't like it when it's Odysseus.
Yeah. And Penelope would like it too because she's like-minded with him. So anyways, okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Katherine, for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Very much appreciate it. Thank you for joining us in chat, everybody. Really appreciate it. And hopefully I will try and I'm going to try and do the 100 Baby Challenge soon. I got to update. I found out I have to update this computer almost entirely. It's Windows 10. And some things are breaking on it. And so so that might take me a little bit, but I do want to come back to the 100 Baby Challenge, or I want to start the 100 Baby Challenge with Zeus as the character that we're playing, and then we'll have some mythology thrown around. If you don't know what the 100 Baby Challenge is, look it up, but it's Sims 4. I'm looking forward to doing it. I'm going to try and do it as soon as I can find the time to fix this computer. So if you are interested in watching that with me, make sure that you follow me on Twitch and hit the notifications, or follow me on YouTube. All that information is going to be in the thanks for watching slide that's about to show. But again, thank you all. Thank you, Anadrel. Thank you, Boris. Thank you, Leia. Thank you, everyone who's in chat, helping us out and making sure that we talk about this wonderful piece. Go see the Odyssey. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.